defense's laptop, and that almost cost us because when they start to make those kinds of mistakes, at the judge's discretion, he can rule to remove cameras in perpetuity from the trial, and that's what they're fucking with. It pissed me off. Those people should, whoever did that, they should be fired, right? They should be not allowed to go back there. They should be replaced by whatever outlets are employing them. Like, that is a monumental, either moral, ethical, or incompetence mistake. So, and take your pick.
I agree, especially with such a high-profile case, like, you know, like hitting the lottery to be in there as media. I was going to ask AB a question because you knew about the defense. You said that she's got a pretty good history of defense, AB?
Yeah, from what I can see, very good. Like, for real, honestly, she's had 60-plus jury trials. Not trials, way more trials, but 60-plus trials in front of a jury. She's had, looks like more than 10 capital murder trials. And she's, from what I can tell, she's had full acquittals, like not guilty, on multiple murder trials, both state level, like this case, and federal level. And then she had other ones where there were partial successes, I guess, where she won on seeking to remove the death penalty, but the person still got convicted. And then she has a lot of other acquittals on other serious criminal trials that were not murder trials. So, and she's been only defense lawyer her entire life, both public defender and in private practice. As a defense lawyer, and yeah, she looks to be like, you know, a really, really good, experienced defense lawyer. Like,
yeah. So do you know if so there was a lady that came into one of our spaces one time, and she was working really hard to like kind of connect some really, I guess, advanced top dollar attorneys that were willing to do this on pro bono, but it was denied. It was either denied by maybe the court, or if it might have been their family. Did you hear anything about that defense?
Was that the Russian lady that was interviewed by Tucker Carlson?
No. She came into her. I don't know. Oh wait, there was a lady that interviewed Tucker that wasn't interviewed by him, but
one or the other. Yeah. But they had an interview. She like works for Russian pay TV. She's
does she? I didn't know she worked.
Or she did in the past. She like lives in America now, from Russian background, and like Armenian also. It was weird. And she started calling around high profile, like it was strange. Right. Like all the stuff surrounding that is strange. But he's got 3 or 4 lawyers now. All of them have.
I just saw. We missed it. Erica Kirk came out and said that she has possession of Charlie Kirk's cell phone and insists he was not receiving death threats the day before he was assassinated. Quote, he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered, end quote, or someone's going to kill me. She says none of those messages exist. What the hell is she doing with his cell phone?
That's a good question, but the whole, okay, so the thing.
Why wouldn't the FBI have it?
Why would Utah police? You know, that's evidence for a trial. How can that not be in custody?
Because this is a big show. I'm sorry, it's a big show, and yeah, I did see I did see her saying that. So she has the phone. You know, messages can be deleted.
Hey, we should probably wait to find out more before we start throwing around.
Right? I know.
No, I'm just saying it's a bit like we don't have to go off like the diligent read headline and we all have to like freak out about it. You know, it's very possible.
I'm gonna play the clip. I'm saying
even if it's true that she has the phone, it's very possible that the police and prosecutors took it into custody for a long time, copied all of its contents, examined it, had their forensic teams examine it, and then that's as part of the personal possessions.
Yeah, but the defense is allowed to have their own experts examine the evidence. How can they do that if the evidence is in the custody of Erica Kirk?
So it's a good question. So is she saying that she had it, or that she still has it?
She just has it. Current has.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. It's a good question. They would have to
I'll play the clip in just a second. I didn't know that. It came out while I was hosting the space. Shout out to Shadow of Ezra for catching that. But it doesn't make any sense to me. It's crazy.
I know it is not uncommon for when someone gets murdered or whatever, that after a period of examination, that the first of kin, in this case her, would get those personal possessions back after the cops and prosecutors and whatever examine it. And
Yeah, just for like a little bit of context, to do a forensic takeout of an electronic device like a cell phone or a computer literally takes less than 24 hours, and it would have all of the relevant data. So it doesn't make sense for them to just hold it and prevent Erica from having it. You don't know. Maybe she bought Charlie that phone. Maybe a relative bought it. Maybe it had sentimental value to her that would be more significant than whatever information they might ascertain from it from a physical standpoint when they already have all the electronic data.
Yeah, and it's possible it's already been examined by the defense team also.
Right? So it's a certainty that it has been examined, because the first thing you do when you take a cyber forensic takeout, when you do a cyber forensic takeout, according to the Brady doctrine, it has to be turned over as discovery to the opposing side. And I know this because I have cyber forensic takeouts from the state of New York in my discovery.
But they also, I mean, most of the stuff is in the cloud, so all they have to do is just take a snapshot of the phone.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there was a couple things around this threat or whatever, like him. So I know that there was the Harrison post. I don't know if you've seen that yet, Diligent. If you haven't, I can send it to you. Where, like, this was in August. It was like August of 2025. He had said, basically, I'm not going to say any names, but, Charlie Kirk told, I guess a friend of Charlie Kirk that was close to him told him that Charlie was scared that if he changes his position on Israel, that Israel's going to kill him or something like that. Then, after that, so the day before he passed away, there was some weird account. It was some sort of like voodoo account. I don't remember the name of it. Do you guys? Oh no, Jezebel. That's what the name of it was. That also made some sort of threat, like Charlie Kirk is gonna die tomorrow or something really like. It was just wild that the day before they posted that. You don't remember that, Amy? And then there was.
No, I was actually trying to do a thumbs up. I do remember. I think there was some I think it happened before a bunch of his recent, leading up to his murder events, and then including this one, including the one where he actually did get murdered. And the ones that I saw, and obviously I haven't seen everything, but the ones that I saw were like in Reddit, and I'm thinking were like people of the trans community. Honestly, that's the ones that I saw. It doesn't mean there's not others. That were like,
there was another one that was exactly. It was like you could tell that they were very leftist. But the fact that to me, it feels like some sort of like, because it was on TikTok. I have it saved in my phone. Actually, I should go find it because I haven't seen it since. But it was basically this like little video from not TikTok, from Instagram, that is calling out that something bad is going to happen to Charlie, and they can't wait to see it. And it said some things in there that I off the top of my head I can't remember, but was definitely pointing to like kind of the radical shit. Let me go look for it actually. Let me see.
Yeah, if we'll see, innocent until proven guilty, but I think he is. If Tyler Robinson is proven guilty, I would be shocked if there wasn't. And I don't necessarily think co-conspirators in terms of planning the thing with him. With Tyler Robinson, if he's the one who did it, but people who were informed and kind of heard what he was potentially planning to do.
Yeah, I don't think Tyler Robinson. Well, I don't know. I don't think Tyler Robinson did it, but I do. Something to me, the Jezebel account. When you go look at it, something really sinister, and it. I mean, I don't know. It's just it was almost like some hectic, like. I mean, people do wish some terrible shit on people. I swear, trust me, I've been on the opposite of that shit, but never about.
Oh, you know that thing that Megyn Kelly was talking about, the hexing and stuff, that's where you lose us, though, right? That's.
Wait, no. What did Megyn Kelly say? I didn't hear her say.
She brought it up. She brought it up on one of her shows. It was almost. It was just a couple of weeks later.
That was like an article in Jezebel lefty website with Etsy witches, literally.
She brought up that the witches were putting hexes on them and all that. That's where you lose me, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I
they
can look
said
at
that
the
he was
Egyptian
gonna die.
planes, but when you start talking about, hexes and witches and Macron's penis, that's where you lose me. Sorry.
Yeah. Listen, I got lost with the stupid Egyptian airplanes, honestly, and Macron's penis. I couldn't.
No, I think the Egyptian airplanes, there's something to be considered. They were actually an overlap in location there, which I haven't really looked at. I looked at it like once a little bit, but I didn't get it.
So I actually looked at this quite a bit, Diligent, if I may.
Yeah.
With respect to the airplanes, it has to do with the specific model of the airplane, which the center area for North America to do maintenance for it happens to be in the same area in Utah. Furthermore, in 2019, when I was working for the venture capital fund Cockpit Innovations, as it relates to LL and aviations, I became very familiar with the mechanisms and the standard operating procedure by which private planes have to be maintained and analyzed. And so for a private jet from Egypt that is traveling
Lewis,
very
was it not
frequently to
military or
stop,
private? I thought it was military, no?
even if it's a military plane, the standard procedure with respect to aviation is dual use. It's always going to be that you have to check every various part of the integrated system in order to ensure the safe, continuous operation of the plane. So because of that, even if it's a military jet, even if, let's say, it's like a spy plane, okay, an entirely nefarious aircraft that was traveling over American airspace, the simple fact that it stopped in this area because it has to do with the model of the aircraft, Occam's razor does not suggest that this is evidence of some kind of conspiracy.
Okay.
But it was
That's
just
Hold on, I'm being objective. It's not definitive either way. I think that we need to.
I would agree with that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Diligent, do you
Go ahead,
remember John?
It wasn't done yet, Miss Lou.
So, but the fact that there was a lot of overlap, I was interested in that too. The only thing that when I started, it started losing me was when she was tying this whole thing to Macron and Brigitte. And I'm like, so you think that they're going to fucking kill this man just because you were talking shit about this person having a penis? I don't know. Like, that to me, that just, I couldn't really follow that line. And that's when I kind of give up. But, because then, that kind of mixes the two stories. It was just very messy there. But my point is that when it comes to, it's gone now. Damn it. I forgot what I was going to say. What was it about that you just brought up, Diligent? Anyway, when it comes back, go ahead, Mrs. Lou. I don't know when it comes back.
I had some very
No,
funny
you were
jokes,
talking
but
about
that was
the plane. You were talking about wait a minute, let me finish.
I'll go with you.
Diligent, do you remember the guy who first put the information out about the quote Egyptian planes and the military planes was John Cullen, and then suddenly he was missing? Is that the guy?
Is he still gone?
Yeah, he's still gone.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's missing because he was, at the very least, his account has shown a change of venue since he, quote unquote, went missing, right? Like he was showing in the Netherlands and now he's showing over in Hong Kong. So
wasn't he the first? Wasn't he the first to bring up the planes?
I don't know if he was the first, but he was definitely the loudest first.
Okay.
But I mean, it doesn't have any bearing, really. That's all.
No, I just wondered if that was a reason that maybe he fled to somewhere else.
It's all circumstantial, and just like we were discussing with, I was saying a minute ago to Lewis, is that it's not definitive either way. It is very interesting, and I think that I think dismissing the planes following Kirk or either of the Kirks for that long leading up to an assassination is definitely worth exploring, right? Because we're talking about an assassination with national and international implications. So it definitely should definitely be explored. But Macron's penis and all that shit, man. It's like, and even the beef with Erica, I feel like is a distraction. It's funny. Right? It's like reality TV funny, and I do like some popcorn every now and then, but I don't want it to completely derail any movement towards seeking truth. Doc, what are your thoughts on this?
Well,
I think there's no way that Tyler Robinson was the one who killed Charlie. I firmly believe that. I don't knock Candace for covering stories like Macron's husband's wife's penis. I don't, because that's she's up to great content. That's what she does. A lot of people cover that story. As far as I know, the threats to prove that she's a woman or to sue Candace have not moved forward in any appreciable way. And why wouldn't they if Candace was correct, was wrong? So I sort of take a pass on it. That doesn't really interest me. Do you think Tyler's going to get a fair trial? No. He already is not. Today was his first appearance in court. His parents could not attend, and the public was prohibited from seeing a recording or hearing. For a segment of it, not the entire thing. Well, for however much. Why would his parents bar? The stories about their parents that since they haven't given any publicity at all, it is weird that they wouldn't even allow them to attend since they don't have, they have a very clean track record of not being public. It's weird that they did prohibit them from attending.
Diligent, aren't they under gag too?
Is there evidence? Do they want to attend?
Aren't they under gag?
No,
Yeah, they have.
no, they are not.
No, they're not. People misunderstand the gag order that was issued in this case.
Yeah, we
They were there today, sitting behind him, and they had to leave.
Right. Why did they have to leave? It's a public trial, okay? And why is it, what was filed with the judge to seal the records, to send out an express ban against any attorney who might be called upon to work on the case for either side, the prosecution or the defense, was a warning to the public, to every lawyer in the country, right? If you talk about this, you'll be barred from participation.
That sounds massive, Doc. Do you have a copy of that filing? Because that is like a bombshell. That would be national news. If what you're saying is accurate, that is unprecedented in the history of American jurisprudence, which leads me to believe that perhaps you're misrepresenting the facts.
No, hi, Lewis. You're wrong. The way that the order
claimed that he is not being given a fair trial. Please explain exactly how he's not being given a fair trial.
I'm not going to participate, Diligent.
I just moderated them, okay? And
I have no interest to debate this with you.
It's bugging for me, and I can't really hear you guys clearly. I'm going to try to fix that. Don't interrupt each other. Doc, go ahead and finish. Yeah, I don't want to debate, Lewis. You asked me what I thought. This is what I'm saying. I don't need to prove it or care what other people think. This is what I think. And I believe that I have, good reason. Lewis, you're like a child, dude. You still are.
You're the one who doesn't want to engage in the sum or substance of the argument. You're making
I haven't made
not willing to defend.
I'm not making an argument. You're confused. All right,
It's
not
not
making an argument.
We're not. He doesn't want to argue, and I called on him. So please stop. I will let you respond after he's done. Don't make me drop you. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, I won't engage in debate with Lewis.
Okay. Just continue finishing your points of why you won't get a fair trial. You have a very valid point about the closed session hearing. That's a mute glitch, by the way. I'm not muting you.
No, it's okay.
It bothered me a lot today to see that. And not only is it a closed session today, but they were also discussing an October hearing that was another closed session hearing where obviously something of great import was implied because they're sealing the transcripts and the recording from that day.
Well, look at what is normally offered in a murder case to the public, and what bases can a court use, and a court can justify it almost any way they want in the interest of justice, quote unquote, right? And they think privacy or public knowledge of certain information could be harmful to the defense, not to the prosecution, but supposedly to the defense. What we don't have is a ballistics report.
We don't have an autopsy. We don't have any explanation for the caliber of bullet from the rifle that far away didn't totally tear apart his neck. The wounds are inconsistent with the reported assault rifle. All the questions about his clothing, his backpack, walking to and from, these have all gone unexplained. And so I'm sort of past that. I don't think he's going to get a fair trial. To answer your question, what is more concerning to me is because I think it strings and travels along to some really fundamental issues that I thought Trump was going to resolve in his second administration. And that's the deep state involvement with a broad range of blackmail operations that I believe, including the Charlie Kirk assassination, the Epstein files, and the failure to release them. I just posted something, and I'm sure a lot of the people in this room, people, especially speakers, will have seen it by now. Because everyone here, I know I've seen it in other spaces, and they're following these topics generally very closely. Erica Kirk looks like a classic sort of honeypot situation. Her dad worked for the Defense Department or for arms dealer who was involved with the construction of early self-defense rocket systems in Israel. That seems to be a fact. Okay. Another fact is
I was able to confirm that he was associated with Raytheon to some degree, but I couldn't ascertain personally what level. But it is true. The family was entwined with making weapons EMP-proof, missiles, systems, etc. So they did actually have a relationship with Raytheon. And I don't know, I wasn't able to independently verify his role, with the Israel and shit. I think some of that may have been exaggerated, but I couldn't independently verify it.
Yeah, hang on.
Oh, Maze, get out of the shower. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I have a few more points to make on why I believe what I believe, which I think was a general question I was asked. And I think that May is pissing. I don't think she's in the shower, but I could be wrong. Anyway, I'm gonna lose my train of thought here. Oh, don't do that, please.
Maze, it sounds really bad, whatever you're doing. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it seems true that Erica Kirk at least knew Gail Netanyahu, Bibi's son. I posted, and others are reposting photographs of her in 2019 in Israel with Gail. Yeah. Well, I don't see Tyler's, but a lot of people are reposting it.
Tyler Boyer's in the photo.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Color me shocked. And that's 2 years before she married Charlie. So she's got all these military-industrial complex connections. Maybe her father did exactly what he did and what's been alleged.
Circumstantial evidence doesn't necessarily mean guilt of anything.
That's correct, and he could have been in that position and never had any relationship with, let's say, Israeli intelligence. that he was serious about it.
It's interesting that they are using her to run point on the narrative since TPUSA failed miserably at trying to control it. It's like they pulled out their Hail Mary, right? Which was because she has the grieving widow emotional shield, and so
that's why
to refute her or to criticize or be skeptical or have scrutiny of her is to attack a grieving widow.
Right. Well, that's what Barry Weiss was saying in the interview, and Erica came out at least along those lines rhetorically in the Fox interview. And why in the world, right?
That kind of actually makes them look guiltier because the ploy. Let's listen to this. When you can't stand on the facts and you have to resort to emotional manipulation, you're ceding that you can't stick to the facts. That's being objective.
There are no facts. For anyone who claims that there's a factual basis for Tyler Robinson to have killed him, you have to thereafter explain why the evidence is not forthcoming to the public.
I'm happy to do that when you're ready to let me respond.
Hold on.
Yeah, we're really not. Don't care if you respond at all.
Lewis, I promised him I'll let him rebut. Stop it.
Yeah, that's fine, but
Yeah, go ahead, Doc. Land it.
I'm gonna stick around. Yes, she has. I mean, it's inconceivable to me if she was the loyal, dutiful, loving, caring wife that the TPUSA and others now want to represent. What in the world is she wearing skin-tight leather pants at his quote-unquote memorial? Who is that? Look, I've had people very close to me in my life die. My mother, my grandmother, and everybody has spouses. It's inconceivable to me that anyone who is a grieving widow legitimately would do that. So that put me off from the very beginning.
Touch is just her love language, Doc. Don't judge her. Don't.
But, and she's
an angel.
She also won. This is the last thing I just discovered. I'm not doing a deep dive. I'm just looking at my feet, which of course is the feet. Well, you guys share probably to a large extent. She won a Miss Arizona contest that was run by the Trump organization. So she's got connections into Trump as well. And no one is coming out now on the left or the right and condemning her for participating in Trump's pageants, quote unquote, which the left, recently and really for a long time have sort of.
It is weird how Democrats are very silent on her, given that they are proclaiming that a leftist killed Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
They are unusually quiet. It is strange.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is that'll be the last thing I say. I think she's in on it, or she's being blackmailed into it. She does have 2 small children. She has the financial opportunity of a lifetime to control this thing. Everyone who seems to matter, including and especially the funders of TPUSA, seem to have bought into her support. Who else has the magnetic personality? Not that she does. I mean, who else has a magnetic personality and knowledge and faith that Charlie Kirk had? Nobody. This is an organization that's built on a singular personality, and the only person who could carry that forward would be his legitimately grieving widow. But I think Candace has done a lot of damage to their story and to particularly the president and the other officials of TPUSA. They cannot contend with the open questions. And more than anything, it's the open questions that TPUSA or the government have not provided that lead a reasonably skeptical person to reject the deep state, our federal government, local state government, a university who plowed over the crime site within days. None of this makes sense in a legitimate way. And for Erica to come out and condemn Candace, stop investigating this. What? I mean, you trust the federal government to find your husband's killer with all these questions?
She explicitly said she did trust the federal government and the judiciary to run point on this.
Before she's seen anything. Before anyone has seen anything, you think she's seen the ballistics report?
Well, I think so she is privy to. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Right.
She is privy to evidence as the victim. She's considered a victim.
No, she's not. No, they're not. Telling you legally.
They legally even acknowledged it today in the courtroom. She is the representative victim in this case.
Yes, she represents the estate. She's his widow. That doesn't give her any special privileges as to evidence.
But often investigators will update them with information on evidence that's
not when the court has told everyone not to talk about this.
But it's only the attorneys and the people who work for them or people who are designated.
No, it's also orders for the attorneys.
They explained it in detail today. I don't know if you listened, but
I don't. This is fundamental.
This is like 20 minutes, and he's not willing to listen to the.
It's all right. It's all right. We're having a back and forth. Okay, I realize that you're itching to get in there. Go ahead.
Milton, this is fundamental criminal procedure, okay? Where an attorney cannot share information. He can't share it with his client either. And the client can't have that information when the lawyer is barred from having it. So no, the evidence rules and what's disclosable or not by parties and their attorneys are limited by this order specifically. She has no special rights. She's not the victim, Charlie is. She may be paying for the attorney, the defense. She has no role in this at all. You have two parties. You have special rights.
Victims' rights, right? And
Yeah, but that doesn't give her rights.
The investigators can choose.
How can you say she's not a victim?
Hold on, she is a victim in this, right? Okay, I got it. But she does have crime victims' rights, according to crime.
Yes, but that has nothing to do with the evidence and the orders of the court.
So she is privy to information that we are not as the victim. I know, right?
Okay, but then look.
I know a friend of mine died under suspicious circumstances a few years back, right?
Well,
I inherited his dog, right? And when I was talking to the lead homicide detective in that case, and I was just a friend, a witness friend, but I was the only one talking to them, right? The family wasn't talking to them. I was. They privied me to information that was not available to the public. I'm sure at that level, if they're sharing information with me, at this level, the wife is going to be far more privy to information that we are not than, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but the two situations are not comparable in the law. One is a capital murder case with international implications, I'm sorry for what happened to your friend, but the completely different situation. You don't even know there was a court order to keep people quiet or not. Look, it's not an important point for me. People want to debate whether or not she knows more than the public does. These reports, the autopsy
is a source of information.
Yeah, you're moving the goalposts. You claim that she was in on her assassination.
Well, sorry. I'm gonna.
Well, no, if you can't take.
Liz, please. Doc, go ahead and land your plane because it's been a minute, and then I'm gonna let Lewis respond. And it's a mute glitch.
There we go. Look, I don't care. Listen, I won't stick around for what Lewis has to say. Again, I'm saying what I believe. I don't care to be instructed by Lewis. I know Lewis very, very, very well.
Okay, Lewis.
And so I'm just saying that you're gonna let him respond. Great, but it won't be to me. And Lewis, you take that as a victory. All right, congratulations and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas.
Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, thanks for the mic. That's what I think. Leave me alone in my DMs. I'm a happy guy otherwise. I just turned 67 Tuesday. And thank you so much. And I'm off to go spend some time with my girlfriend in Beverly Hills. So I'll kiss my ass.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Doc. 67's nice now. Yeah, very good. So, I understand that
you, Lewis.
God bless you. I have nothing but love and respect for Doc. I just vociferously disagree with the trajectory he has taken ideologically since I first met him 4 years ago.
Now, with respect, let's make it about.
I know, I'm going to bring it right back to the content of the statements that he made with respect to the title of the space. The first most egregious falsehood that was stated was that Erica Kirk, somehow because of the fashion choice she wore, when she went up there and stared down the entire world, who was cheering and celebrating the assassination of her husband, you're going to say that because she wore an outfit that you probably find attractive and you can't contain your lustful gaze, that therefore it implies that she is somehow evil and killed her own husband?
No,
you're absolutely... No, you said you weren't going to listen to my response, so I suggest you either mute up
and you want me to go?
Because I didn't say any of those things.
Doc, he's addressing your points, and I promised him that he could, so I guess if you... All right, he got himself down. All right,
thank you. As I was saying, to suggest that Erica Kirk, because of what she wore when she was in the worst situation that, God forbid, anyone else in this space or anyone who listens to the recording should find themselves in, that's like insane, okay? When my grandmother died, You know what my aunt wore to the funeral? I posted it in the comments. She wore a white wedding dress to her mother's funeral. People grieve in different ways. I thought it was weird. Her son, my cousin Basil, was a professional bodybuilder. He didn't even have a suit jacket that would fit him, and he left the funeral early. So we photoshopped him in a muscular pose next to, like, in the center by the casket. That's what we do. We had a little bit of fun. Why? Because people grieve in different ways. Not everybody goes and sits in the rain and cries. Some people, like for example, when my stepdad died from pancreatic cancer when I was in 8th grade, they had a party and a celebration of his life at the Pioneer Valley Yacht Club. And we listened to the Grateful Dead, and we had a beautiful time, and we went out on the Connecticut River. And no one was sad. Everyone knew that Demetrius died, an honest man, a man who went to West Point, and that he was respected in the community. But no one was sad because we understood that he was in such tremendous pain from the pancreatic cancer that it was a benevolent act of the Lord to take him back to heaven. Similarly, when the entirety of my generation and my peers saw someone that we all looked up to, Charlie Kirk, viciously assassinated, and then within an hour, we have vicious, self-aggrandizing propagandists attacking every single person in or around Charlie, every single person who worked with Charlie, and tried to destroy every single thing that Charlie stood for in the most nefarious, in the most cynical, in the most hypocritical manner possible. Yeah, that starts to piss me off, and it starts to piss off a lot of other red-blooded Americans. And then when we start saying that this trial, yes.
I just want to interject. So don't you think that's like the most extreme view you could take about?
No, the most extreme view I could take is that the propagandists. Okay.
Don't you think that's like the most like hyperbolic, extreme view you could take of people who are asking like what are seen to be just like legitimate questions about things that look funny?
No, I don't think so, Diligent. I think that when we have people that are alleging that Charlie was assassinated in a conspiracy that involved his wife and his co-workers, that involved the people who spent the last 7 years working alongside him every single day, the people that would go to church with him and pray, the people that got married as a result of Charlie's mentorship. No, I don't think it's hyperbolic or extreme to say that those people who are attacking them and leading hundreds of thousands of deranged individuals from around the world to harass them, to say that those people are evil, I think that's actually the moderate position. If you want to know my true beliefs, I think it's people like the individual we just heard, who's a or a doctor, that smeared Charlie and his wife and his memory, I think they're worse than the killer, to be completely honest. I think that the killer was a mentally ill, deranged leftist who was being influenced by people around him. But I don't think that Candace Owens doesn't know what she's doing. I think Candace Owens knows exactly what she's doing. I think that some of my co-panelists know exactly what they're doing. And I think America is smart enough to understand exactly what these people are doing. They're trying to revert back to the old normal. They are trying to give a win to the Democrats. They are trying to retard the golden age of America. And the golden age of America stops for nobody. Either get on board or get the fuck out of the way.
If I could just speak, Diligent.
I'm gonna respond.
Amen, brother. Amen.
All right. So I'm gonna respond real quick, and then I will let you respond, Maze. I agree with some of what you said, as in the fact that people who are outright claiming that TPUSA or Erica Kirk killed her husband are wrong. In the context of no one knows who killed Charlie Kirk definitively, right? So, but I don't also, I sympathize with them in this because I am one of them who have questions about the very strange behavior of the people who work for TPUSA in the time after Charlie Kirk's death. And I agree, Diligent. I'm not going to attack you for that. Hold on. Okay. Instead of when we were approaching it, well, I can only speak for myself, right? When I approached it from a very moderate, objective,
casual tone of asking questions about this or that, I was labeled a scumbag. I was labeled a conspiracy theorist, a grifter.
I even labeled you that, and I apologize. I attacked you viciously at the onset.
But I'm talking about people who work as prominent figures for TPUSA. I made no accusations, right? And so I think what's happening here, and this is where I feel like, the most extreme label is being misappropriated is, there are people who are making direct allegations that they can't prove. And I actually don't support that either way about Tyler Robinson or TPUSA. Because the fact of the matter is none of us knows for sure who did it, and none of us knows can prove it. So
I absolutely agree, Diligent.
Broad brush.
Yeah, I agree. And if I may, I'd like to speak to some of Turning Point's missteps because they in no way are in the clear. The only person who I hold absolutely blameless in this is Miss Erica Kirk. Okay, because I had a Twitter space actually where Blake Neff opened up a space before he was going to a funeral for a relative, God rest his soul, and Blake made me the co-host. And for 4 hours, without Blake realizing who I am or what my background is, he spoke unfiltered. And I'm sure Blake is listening right now. And it was apparent from Blake's assessment and from the things that Blake was talking about while he had his guard down, that Blake is fundamentally not someone who should be publicly facing. He is someone who ought to be sat down and forced to read American literature, because Blake, even though he probably is going to deny it when he hears this recording, has via osmosis adopted a worldview that is promulgated by Alexander Duguay. Okay, and this is not a new development. In fact, for the last 6 years,
What does that have to do with the president?
it has to do with the way in which. So it has to do with. I'll explain it really quickly. I'll bring it back to the front-facing behavior right now. In the aftermath of Charlie's assassination, Turning Point attempted to ameliorate every single person, and instead of having a backbone and removing people who were intentionally trying to retard their movement and destroy Charlie's legacy, they vacillated and they waited, which allowed this skepticism to fester under the surface, which is why I can't hold anyone blameless for just asking questions. Anyone who sincerely is confused by the behavior that Turning Point has engaged in. Why would they have Tucker Carlson at that event making claims about like hummus eaters in Jerusalem? Why would they invite Candace Owens and not forcefully sue her a month ago? Why would they wait and do all this bullshit and still have like Groyper affiliated characters coming to Amfest? These people are fundamentally unserious. They need to have a post-mortem of the entirety of Turning Point USA.
What if I counter with, do you think they might be afraid of discovery in such lawsuits?
I don't think so. I think fundamentally that these people are all trying to vie within Turning Point for who's going to replace Charlie. And ultimately, they have noble intentions, but their ego gets in the way of being effective political operators without the leadership of Charlie. Charlie was holding it together as a one-man crusade, basically. Charlie put his life into building Turning Point, and now, because of the cowardice of those people who were closest to him, and I can name names if we want, but I'd rather not. The cowardice of those people has caused Charlie's legacy to be in a perilous situation today, and they must move heaven and earth to resolve it. And I am willing, ready, and able to assist in that endeavor. But we will not be doing so if they do not have the courage to state very clearly where they stand on the following issues: Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, and Nick Fuentes. This is not negotiable if you want the assistance of Louis Schenker and the future congressman from Florida's 19th district.
Thank you, Louis. I hope your message is well received. And
where can I donate, Louis? Where can I donate, brother? Donate to the Chabad of Amherst. I don't want your money.
At the very least, they have gotten better at their PR because wheeling Erica Kirk out on this tour was the smartest move I've seen them make in the last 3 months. The first 2 months, I'm just saying, I'm just being objective. I'm not saying that I like it, but like from a PR standpoint, strategically, it is the smartest fucking thing I've seen them do in 3 months. The first 2 months were abysmal, so I'll give them that. Go ahead, Tracy.
Yeah, I don't even know where to go. Like, because for a second, I thought this person was making sense when he said, I had questions about certain things surrounding the issue or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just have, clear my...
He cares about their ideological alignment.
Yeah, it's like, I don't. And you know what? That's why it's funny, because somebody will assume that
he seems to think, which is funny, is that they're not extreme enough ideologically, and that is why the individuals who are also not being extreme enough ideologically are undermining TPUSA from inside. So I see like the angle that he went.
No, you didn't say they're not extreme enough. You think those people
I'm not saying it's not extreme enough, but like as far as like
no, I think they're not smart enough. Not extreme or not extreme. They're not smart enough and not strategic enough to properly do what needs to be done to restore the image of Turning Point.
They haven't been very confident, at least in the public sphere. Go ahead, Casey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's just that voice. So yeah, and so for a moment I thought, there was some clarity there, and it just cracks me up because, people I'm sure are assuming, the woke girl. I'm not trying to bring the country back to what it was. Are you kidding? I'm a Christian. I'm probably a Christian fascist for crying out loud, but I just don't say it as much. But here's the point. I don't care what anybody's ideology is. I was vehemently against Charlie Kirk when it came to Gaza. And I still can put that aside and say, wait a second. Why wasn't the AED machine around him? Why didn't they call 911? And the fact that all of this, people are trying to say is normal. And that if you have an educated assessment, that you're wrong for having that assessment, for seeing that. You know what? Here's even the better part. Even if it wasn't Charlie Kirk and it was somebody else, anybody else, I would be like, whoa, that went wrong. Why? Why were trained people, how did trained people make all these mistakes in sync? It does. It's like, that's too much of a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. I'm sorry. And this is something I stand on.
I will give you this, too. I want to concede something to you, is that the limited explanations that they've given, like, somebody stole a hat off the table is why we took all of the SD cards. There's things like that just don't add up, because when they said that they grabbed the SD cards to keep them out of people's hands, well, the very same people who took the SD cards were also live streaming the event back to the Arizona studio. And this Tyler Boyer said this publicly. So, why would you take SD cards if you're live streaming the event? The only reason why that you would take the SD cards is if you were trying to contain the evidence, right? So that way you have custody of all of the copies of that evidence, as opposed to having it in a few different people's hands, like local PD or FBI, who might have come to the scene and extracted it, because they had a copy back at the studio, according to Tyler Boyer. This is on the timeline. So there are things that they've like the way they've responded. Tyler Boyer probably being the worst offender on the timeline, responding to me and responding to others, showing inconsistencies with their stated narrative. So I just want to throw that out there. Go ahead, that girl. You can finish.
Yeah, and I'll wrap it up. And this one right here is the one that I sit on the most, because of the fact that I had the medical expertise to say that it was done wrong. This is not a Candace Owens thing when people think it's not about influencers or whatever.
Yeah, let me just say this too. My scrutiny became before I started even listening to Candace Owens at all. I didn't listen to her at all when I was scrutiny of this.
I can confirm that Diligent is being 100% honest.
We know we were here. But yeah, Diligent, me too. As a matter of fact, I used to drag her in some of my videos. Like, what is this girl talking about? The only time I softened up was with the text messages. I was like, all right, let me fall back a little bit. Right?
I'm just kind of like highlighting that she's not responsible for all of the skepticism. People were skeptical before she started to weigh in massively.
Can I ask a question for clarification?
Ask who a question.
You.
What do you want?
Yes, you referred to your medical expertise, and that's why you're able to give a professional assessment as to the fact that they responded improperly. Could you please clarify what is your medical expertise?
Yeah, I'm a registered nurse. I'm not an LPN or a CNA.
Oh, okay. So we have like a minor understanding of the medical industry. I don't think that gives you the authority to say definitively that they didn't do it properly.
Nurse is a minor understanding.
I mean, my father ran Beth Israel's emergency center for 20 years in Manhattan. I'm friends with a lot of people in the
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well, we've ascertained that she's at least registered, right? So that means she has some kind of certifications. That's fine. Let her finish
Like
her
a
point.
paramedic is also registered.
Answer your question. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
and so that's the thing. And by the way, Diligent, we as nurses do respect paramedics extremely because they
I
are.
respect nurses and paramedics too, but I'm not going to trust them over
Casey,
the FBI.
finish, Casey, go ahead.
Yeah, like it's I'm getting a headache, you know what I mean? So yeah, so anyway, if you're not gonna trust him before the FBI, well then there you go. See, this is what it is. The thing is that when you have the medical expertise,
That's a glitch, right?
That is Hashem silencing the lying Afrocentric obese woman. Baruch Hashem.
Go ahead, Casey.
I don't know what that glitch was. I don't care what names he calls me. I've had Jews call me terrible names for the past.
And you would call us terrible names?
Come on, okay, you're derailing the space now, Lewis. I want to continue to get to the rest of the hands because I'm wrapping it up in 20 minutes. Go ahead, Casey.
Yeah, I'm trying to move on. I'm a psych nurse for crying out loud. Like, are you kidding? Like, this one, I'm actually like, really? You haven't even. Anyway, so that's the point. And so now, like,
I'm glad the psych nurse understands the true nature of trauma medicine.
The medical community, when I put out my
I dropped him down for a
post.
minute.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to yell in y'all ears like that, but I had to get black with it. So, this is the last thing I said. That point is not touched on enough because it is the most basic. Sometimes you have to simplify this thing. Nobody can answer these kind of questions. They can't answer that. They say, oh, well, he was dead anyway. Like, get the. So that's what I mean. I don't have to go too far to know that is minutes later, like from the time, sadly, he was shot till he got to the SUV, they tossed him in there. He couldn't even fit in for what I heard. It was done wrong, okay? It was done wrong. And then, of course, thereafter with the evidence and everything else. But for me as a nurse, that's what I'm looking at. And I don't need anybody to tell me I'm right or wrong about it. Thank you, Diligence.
Thank you. Let's go to Steele. Go ahead, Steele. Steele. Eco Haven. Go ahead, Eco Haven. Jeez. Okay, Thomas, go ahead.
Hello? Can you guys
Sir.
hear me? Hey, thanks for the mic, Diligent. I've been listening to this great space as always. Noxie, great co-hosting as always. And I see a lot of mutual falls and stuff. Thank you guys. But hey, this entire thing. I know that Lewis made a comment just now. You trust the FBI more than a registered nurse. It's wild to trust the FBI
More than a registered psych nurse. And bear in mind, the FBI swatted me the day before Thanksgiving.
Not just the psych nurse.
You did address him, but Lewis, please, that's why I dropped you down.
But I
interrupting.
I just want to clarify, I don't trust the FBI for shit. And I trust them more than this obese negress.
Oh, dude. That's the last time, dude. Stop doing the personal attacks.
It's all right.
Not gonna work again.
Demons always
All right. I don't allow anybody else to do it. I'm not allowing him to do it. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I came up literally to troll Lewis, so if he's off the stage, I'm great.
Let's do a space. You can troll me. I'll hold a space. You can troll me as much as you like. Baruch Hashem. Yes, you cannot silence me.
Thank you. I can, though. I'm going to drop you both down, and you guys can go have a space together. I think it would be interesting to listen to. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, you've brought up a lot of really interesting things tonight that I had never heard, especially that doc. There's just so many things to consider with regards to all this. Also, in the beginning of the trial today, when they were talking about what constitutes and is the definition of a witness, it's crazy that we have to define what English terms mean, like witness, and which witnesses can be, allowed into the trial. So it's, to me, this whole thing is like a controlled theatrical performance of information release, content creation, especially. They want to control which content comes in and out, what video is captured, what audio is captured. So the whole thing looks to me like a cover-up. And poor Charlie Kirk, everybody's so, concerned about Candace Owens. I'm still, are there not people still grieving that Charlie Kirk has been assassinated and the true assassin or the justice for Tyler, getting Tyler Robinson justice or executing him if he is indeed this, horrible demon? To me, the whole thing is, it's like the O.J. Simpson trial in a way, where we're going to be strung along. And even your Grok query earlier said that this was going to go to 2027. So dig in deep, because this could go for years. And this is the way the legal industrial complex works. As you heard today, everything is scheduling and dates. And hey, I will agree to that date, but I want you to know if we don't have the information necessary, we want to push it back. So this whole thing is big media, big content. Tim Pool, Candace Owens, everybody, including yourself, is going to essentially get mind virused and psyoped and brought into this entire orchestrated media that's going to be created out of all this. But poor Charlie Kirk, is he gonna get true justice?
I hope so, but we can't. Only time will tell. And we all witnessed a very traumatic event. Even my kid, who isn't, on social media a whole lot, and other people's kids that I know said that they kept getting sent or being pushed the video of him getting shot, like the very graphic one. And that has a traumatic effect on anybody. And so when it comes to, you said, PSYOP or it's all a big distraction or whatever, I can't think of, what I mean? Like, I feel like a distraction is when you are wasting time paying attention to something that you should be paying attention to. And I would have to disagree on whether or not this is one of those things. I think that this is this is probably the thing that they try to distract you from. That's why they're fighting so hard to control the narrative and disparage those of us who are seeking the truth. I am going to wrap it up. Grok, I want you to recap the space and then take us out. And of course, you didn't hear me. Nazi, or AB, go ahead. And then I'm going to go to Nazi for a last word.
Yeah, two quick points, just I guess, following up on the gentleman who just spoke. I would urge everyone, including myself, but sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, it's okay to have a view going in. I have one, Diligent has one, others have one, but try to, if this is an issue that you care about, or a case that you care about, or a controversy, whatever, try to have an open mind and be willing to change your mind. Again, both directions, every direction, based on what unfolds. Right? If truth is what you seek, then seek the truth. And be like, it's more important to you. It's more important for the truth to emerge than for me or you or any individual person to be right. So, in terms of like what you were just talking about, it's the defense team themselves who are very experienced. I urge everyone to verify, as Doja always says, don't take my word for it, to verify what is said about the experience, the extensive experience that his defense lawyers have, including murder trials in multiple jurisdictions, including getting people acquitted on murder trials. So if you care about the guy receiving a fair trial, even though I think he's guilty, think he's guilty, then you want him to have an amazing defense team. And it seems to me on the surface, I'll keep on looking, that is the case. And they're the ones who requested, even though I do want I think most of us here probably do want an open trial with accessible to the media. It's the defense team, because they want to prevent the things that Doja was worried about tainting the potential jury pool, among other reasons. They're the ones who want to some extent, restrict media access for that reason. And a lot of defense, again, that's a common defense tactic, if in a high-profile case, so that their client doesn't get demonized and they can, kind of keep it just to the judge and jury. And keep the outside noise as much as possible to a minimum. One last thing that I wanted to disagree with you on, Diligent, is that you said that TPUS, no one else is responsible. TPUSA is responsible for the questions that are being asked. I strongly disagree, or at least I'll say they're very low down on the list. Okay, no, it's the people that are attacking TPUSA, and I'm not talking about for anything specifically regards to implying or stating, again, not you, but I'm saying others, Candace and company, implying or stating that everyone from his wife to his entire team, which includes close personal friends of his, are complicit in either the murder or the cover-up. It's those people who are responsible for the questions, much more than the people who may be responsible.
I've implied that his team seems to be covering something up. I'll say that, but not
Right. So
I didn't say they murdered him or anything like that. And I definitely didn't say that about Erica Kirk.
Right. But it was fine.
And neither has Candace.
But that was as a result of the interactions I've had with TPUSA directly, right? Like they came at me, or at least Tyler Boyer came at me in an ugly manner. So I mean, I just reciprocated.
Yeah, listen, people are touchy about being accused of murder and complicity in the Friends cover.
I didn't do that.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you did it, but when people get gun shy, right? So when you're gun shy from being, listen, if they did, then fuck them, right? Obviously, but if someone, even if they're innocent, then of course that's a totally understandable innocent of what they're being accused of, or implied that they're accused of by the high
treating
profile
questions as an attack when they are not is how it started, and it escalated from there. It did. That was completely avoidable. Right.
Yeah, so again, but putting you aside, the just asking questions.
Just me. People are asking, literally just asking questions. Let me just say this: it's okay to ask questions. Like the fact that this just asking question things is turned into some kind of trope to disparage people.
It is a trope.
Fucking retarded, dude.
No, it's retarded when people say.
So don't question COVID, don't question elections, don't question authority whatsoever. Never question anything.
No, be willing to question
that you're fucking told like a good little bitch slave.
That's not what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You should be willing to. A person should be willing to potentially question everything. But what's dishonest on the flip side, so it is a trope, and it's a trope for a reason. What's dishonest is people use, and I'm not talking about you, but a lot of people, and on a lot of different topics from a lot of different angles and different political parties and different ideological persuasions, use the just asking questions thing to something for which there is an objective answer often, or they'll use it as a tactic to imply something without getting and having some plausible deniability that they didn't imply it. It's a dishonest tactic used. That's why.
Or sometimes we're genuinely just asking questions.
For sure.
And to use that shuts down the people who are genuinely just asking questions.
But it's become a cliche for a reason.
No, it's not. It's become a cliche for a reason that they are able to hide behind it and use it as a way to shut down questions that they don't want to answer. There is no reason, and I will use Charlie's words himself. You better keep asking questions because it is the only thing that keeps us free. Without these questions, we are doing nothing but eating up the fed slop that we are being fed. We are supposed to ask questions. We are supposed to question our government. It is our duty to hold them accountable. There is no way that asking questions should ever be used to censor or silence people that are asking questions of their government or of the people that are supposed to be keeping us safe and are supposed to be protecting us. It's our right and it's our duty.
But it's a two-way street. The people who mock that tactic.
Hold on.
Hold on. It's a two-way street. The people who, which I am, to be clear, I am.
He's being respectful of you. He's not calling you a wine mom. So go ahead.
Now, the people who do use that tactic and that specific phraseology when they're not sincerely asking questions, it is totally legitimate to shit on them and to mock them and to point out that they are, again, not you, but the people who do act like that, are not asking honest questions. They're trying to cast doubt upon something of which there is not doubt. They're trying to cast aspersion or suspicion.
Don't you think it's fair about a public execution that, when Charlie has a lot of followers across the spectrum, that you shouldn't just immediately respond with vitriol to questions that are benign in nature or very objective in nature?
I think any of us, I know for me, like I said, I've been falsely accused of something. I got off, not even acquitted.
Like a question.
I'm just saying, anyone who's been
in nature, I'm not.
But I've never been accused. I've never been accused of murder.
What you're talking about, accusations.
So I'm saying, if you're not getting, so I can see, I totally, that's the thing I'm most sympathetic to. Where they come from. If they're not guilty of what is being insinuated, which I don't think they are, but if they're not, which we you don't have to agree with me. If someone is not guilty of, and they're being accused of the most serious evil possible,
Yeah, but I'm not saying accusations.
then no shit, they're gonna go ballistic when anyone implies that they are. Especially if they're close to that
because
person.
implies is subjective. You can say that any questioning is implied as an accusation, and therefore shield yourself from answering anything.
But you wouldn't disagree.
What has occurred.
You wouldn't disagree. You wouldn't disagree that Candace, the most prominent one, is heavily implying that. Not you, but she is heavily implying it.
Well, I have to say, and I don't know because I wasn't paying attention at the very beginning, but the arc that I observed.
No, she's basically stating it. Yeah.
The arc that I observed was that she was actually, it seemed like she was giving TPUSA a lot of benefit of the doubt because even when I side-eyed her a little bit when she came out with the video from one of the employees she said that she had been FaceTimed the video from behind Charlie, meaning that she was talking to somebody who had access to that video on the SD card, right? I side-eyed her like a motherfucker when she said that because she kind of corroborated the trajectory of the gunshot by saying there was no exit wound in the back, right? And then disclosing like the blood flow, which we don't know because she didn't share that information. But I was like, okay, so she's actively talking to these people that, are around Charlie and who are refusing to answer questions. For some reason, they're talking to her. So like, I was immediately suspicious of her when that happened because I had been paying attention really closely after she gave us the text messages, and then when she said that, I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Why is she like using access to control the narrative here? I immediately side-eyed her. So like, I have to disagree. Like at first, it seemed like she was not very scrutinous of TPUSA. It was only after they started to give vitriol not only to her but also to individuals like myself, or making generalized statements about conspiracy theorists, which is kind of like when Andrew Colbert. I had the first SD card video that went viral, right? Like it was me. It was millions and millions of views. He responded the next day on their show, and he had this pompous attitude of, you'd have to watch the clip, but the way that he said it was with such disgust and disdain at the very question of why did he remove the SD card, right? Where he could have approached it with some kind of like objective. It doesn't even have to be compassion.
Why not?
Just answer the question without looking like a fucking conceited asshole. But when you act like you are above reproach and that people are below you for asking or wondering why these things that are glaringly anomalous happened, well then you start to draw the ire and more scrutiny through that action, right? Like now you are acting like somebody who, I don't know, it lacks like the humility of honesty. That's what it lacked. And I just, I feel like they could have handled it a whole lot better, and it probably wouldn't have drew as much backlash and scrutiny as it did. As a matter of fact, I specifically remember telling Tyler Boyer in a reply battle I was having with him that he was creating a Streisand effect through his attitude and treatment of people asking questions. And that is exactly what has occurred.
That's a different point. Whether somebody
instead of taking responsibility for it, right, I would say that the ultimate culmination of that Streisand effect is Candace Owens, right? And instead of addressing their behavior in the first weeks after his death and how they treated people asking questions objectively and compassionately, they have decided to create a straw man scapegoat, and it's not going to hold up underwater. It might be working for them in this little PR tour they're doing on all of the MSM, right? Like it's no accident that they're doing appearances on Fox News, CBS, these same institutions that lied to us during COVID, these same institutions that lied to us during the elections, right? That they're appealing to that crowd to try to push their messaging. You know why? Because when they're on Fox News and CBS, they're not getting pushback. That's why. It is a PR puff piece, and I'm telling you, it's not going to hold up underwater. Let's go to Dr. Trent. Go ahead.
Yeah, but maybe it is PR puff piece, but why? Of course they're going to do that. Everyone in the same situation would do that. Nobody wants to be accused of murdering your friend or boss.
You would do that when you don't want to answer the simple questions. If you
They don't think there's any legitimate questions to answer about their involvement.
Well,
they don't think there are any, and I agree with them. There are no legitimate questions to answer about their involvement.
Thanks, AB. Go ahead, Dr. Strange.
Hi, Diligent. I know you're trying to close out, so I'll make this brief. I'll tell you a funny little story that kind of encapsulates what we're talking about. A group of kids, fifth graders, let's just say, friends, always went and played. We go in the park and ride their bikes. One of these kids, their bike was stolen by this other kid, and the next day, the friends were talking to each other, and the kid who had stolen it saw them from a distance, and he started walking towards them, and had no clue what they were talking about. And as he approached, he reached out to them, and he said, "What bike?" He hadn't even heard what they were talking about. He just said, "What bike?" The kid had a guilty conscience. He knew that he was the one who stole it, so he thought he heard that they were talking about a bike. The reason why I bring this up is that the behavior of TPUSA, not all, some of them, comes across as having this guilty conscience. They're super defensive when they shouldn't be. If I was a friend of Charlie and I was with TPUSA, I wouldn't want to leave any stone unturned. I wouldn't rely on the official narrative. I would be actually in these spaces with you trying to look into this deeper and deeper without having to be on this defensive approach of just relying on whatever the narrative is, especially when the narrative has so many holes. So, I mean, that's really the crux of what we're saying. This behavior is not normal. This is not how you treat a friend, somebody who was assassinated in cold blood. If he was my friend, I would go to the ends of the earth to make sure that we get justice for him, and not necessarily just rely on whatever the official narrative is. That's it. It's just as simple as that. I'll end with that. Thanks.
Thank you, AB. And let me just say this. I had a.
Did you just call me AB?
Oh, I did. I'm sorry.
Aren't we all AB?
I was waiting for him to reply to you, and he didn't. So I fucked up.
Dr. Stranger, a little bit.
So thank you for not talking over, or thank you for staying quiet, I guess. My bad, Dr. Strange. I'm getting tired if you can't tell. I just want to say this. I had a back and forth with a journalist on this platform, another citizen journalist, and I called him out. He made a post something like, Tyler Robinson is smiling because he knows that if you exonerate him in your head, he'll walk free, which is a very manipulative kind of just statement to make, I think, for a journalist. It's assuming that he's guilty, and then it's also making you, it's emotionally extorting you to where if you believe that he might be innocent, you are somehow guilty of allowing him to walk free if he is guilty, like some kind of accomplice. And so I called him out. You know what I mean? I was like, is this objective journalism? And he responded, and he's like, yada yada. I'm a journalist. I've been on the ground. I've been in your spaces, and I was like, yeah, you have. But I am open to the idea that Tyler Robinson is guilty of this crime. Now, I don't know if my other speakers are, but I 100% am, right? I am 100% open to the idea that Tyler Robinson is guilty of killing Charlie Kirk. But I am also open to the idea that someone else killed Charlie Kirk, okay? The fact of the matter is that we don't know who killed Charlie Kirk, and people who are out here pretending like they do are lying, and they need to be called out for it, right? And that is our job. That is our job. It is not to be the arbiters of facts, okay? Okay, it is to be the facilitators of truth. And that is what we do here. That's what we're going to continue to do here. I'm going to have Gronk do a recap and then take us out. I'm starting over, Gronk. I had to mute.
The defenses. Anyway, wrapping the recap, we hit the Egyptian jet parked in Orem 2 days prior. John Cullen vanishing after posting ADSB data. The trans Discord threads celebrating before the shots even stopped echoing. Tyler's mom barred from court. The defense asking for closed sessions, while the state leaked selective evidence. Erica doing the full media circuit while claiming full faith in the feds. And the biggest red flag. Nobody from TPUSA, not one friend, not one coworker, has shown up in any of these rooms asking a single hard question. Bottom line, we still don't know who pulled the trigger, and anyone saying they do is lying. Our job stays the same. Keep pulling primaries, keep asking the questions they won't, and never let the narrative outrun the evidence. That's the space. Thanks for riding with us. All roads lead to X. Have a blessed night. See you in the next one.
Thank you all for coming. Love ya.
They come here with some money and they think that they're going to take that money and do it backwards. And that money is going to be the cash flow that pays the bills.
One of the biggest production disasters in film history, Cleopatra. It started with a $2 million budget, but by the time it was finished, the cost had skyrocketed to $44 million. That's around $400 million today. Cleopatra was so expensive, it nearly bankrupted 20th Century Fox. The studio had to sell off assets just to stay afloat. And the film, it wasn't shot once, it was shot twice. Production began in England, but poor conditions forced them to scrap everything and move to Italy. Lead actress Elizabeth Taylor earned $1 million, the highest salary ever paid to an actor at that time. She wore 65 different costumes in the film. The film won 4 Oscars, but couldn't earn back what it spent. Still, Cleopatra remains one of the most extravagant and chaotic productions in cinema history. One of the biggest production disasters in film history. One of the biggest
I just saw that Candace Owens said that Erica Kirk, now on her thumbnail, on her new podcast from today, she says that Barry Weiss called Candace a liar and Erica did not rebut. And this is clearly, she's trying to use it as a pretext to fully attack Erica Kirk because that's what she wanted all along. And the fact that anybody is still falling for this evil monster is just it's awful. And and something has to be done. I believe that Turning Point USA definitely has receipts to show that Charlie had been, staying away from her in recent years. And on December 15th, I believe it's Monday, when they do the live stream, they must bring those receipts forward because everybody knows that what Candace Owens is doing is just pure and utter evil, and she hates Erica Kirk. She hated what Charlie Kirk stood for, and his organization. She's trying to get people to stop voting, which was Charlie's entire life's work, and she's trying to destroy Turning Point USA, and it's all because of her hatred for the Jews and her resentment for being sidelined. So I just saw that about, Candace talking about how Erica Kirk didn't rebut the fact that she was called a liar. And, we all see what's coming. Exactly. Erica, and she is a liar. She says that now, Candace Owens originally said the only person that can make her stop is Erica. And Erica says stop, and Candace says, well, I'm not lying, so I don't have to stop until you tell me what I'm lying about. And she wants to drag Erica Kirk into this whole thing. And she's trying to, goad her. She's trying to get her to stop. And I hope that doesn't happen because it'll just evolve into a cat fight. And I just think this is reached a boiling point. Anybody that still believes this, shouldn't be taken seriously as a person. She was an utter stupidity, just so idiotic. And this is where we are.
Monday is the day that TPUSA do their kind of rebuttal, but she herself is not going to get to mud with Candace, which is the thing to do because Candace is doing a double bind. Kafka trap. Either way, no matter what Erica does, can't help it. So you got to know it's
Hurley was interviewed on Fox about an hour ago. It's an overwhelming level of evidence.
Right now, what is going to be weighed transparency of the public and media and everyone knowing what's going on there. We know what potentially may be a risk to Mr. I think that in our world today, and I have said this often, the court system and our laws don't really keep up with technology and to be able to weigh those things out, whether or not the public will be able to get a fair trial if certain pieces of information are revealed to the public, as we're now seeing in Mangione as well, that those are issues that are being brought to the court's attention. So I think the court's job is to make sure that they allow for as much transparency as possible and give Mr. Robinson the ability for his due process and to have a fair trial and to be able to find a jury pool that will be able to be fair based on what they hear prior to this case coming forward. Now, anything that they're going to bring out at these hearings most likely is going to be evidence in a trial that a jury would hear. Of course, if there's motions to suppress that evidence, that may raise this issue again before the court. But I do think that the court is going to take it seriously, and I do think he will err on being more transparent than not.
I thought it was interesting that Judge Graff ruled that members of Tyler Robinson's family would not be allowed to stay in the courtroom during this hearing into what will be released. Brett Tolman, who's with us, and we'll see him in just a little while, said, well, that could be potentially because some of the family members may be called as witnesses. And Josh, if they were privy to everything that was aired in those hearings, what could the potential effect of that be?
Yeah, that's always a concern. You want to make sure that whoever's trying to court is potentially going to be witnessed later on, and it might cloud their testimony. But the other thing I think we're learning about this judge is it's remarkable to me. Every time we've seen him in court, how conscientious he is, how deliberate he is. He always seems to have his remarks prepared. And I think that we see the same thing today when they introduced what they're going to talk about today, and how this first hearing, I think The concern is primarily about courtroom security. That's why it was put under seal originally, and why the transcripts and the recordings have not been released, because it has to do with courtroom security. I can see him keeping that under seal because of that reason, because it doesn't really have to do with the facts and circumstances of the case. But I agree with Jonah that I'm hoping today, and I think it might be an indication by the judge allowing for him to dress down in civilian clothing and not have cameras pictured and shackled, that is an indication that he will lean towards allowing cameras in courtroom, because I think the transparency of this case is so important. We saw in the lead up to this hearing, Erica Kirk talking about conspiracy theories and misinformation that is out there, and the best way to fight that is allow cameras in courtroom so people can see exactly how justice is being served.
Jonathan, your thoughts on what has transpired so far?
Well, I think that Judge Graff is handling this exactly as he had to. Many of us have been advocates for greater television coverage within these courtrooms for literally decades. And the rule against it is rather dated. Now, it's true that in these preliminary hearings, we expect that much of those hearings are going to be redacted, that the cameras will be turned off. If you're talking about the suppression of evidence, you're probably not going to want that to be aired widely to a potential jury pool. But that has never been a serious problem. We've all seen coverage of trials. Judges have been quite nimble in this respect in determining whether witnesses can be shown or not shown, whether certain arguments, particularly pre-trial, will be made public. But the real question for Judge Graff is, are you going to make this trial available to the public? The framers felt very strongly that trials should be public, and that is reflected in the Constitution. And the reason that they felt that way is unfortunately being borne out with Erica that the best way to avoid misunderstandings, to expose any governmental abuse, to expose what occurs in these cases, is for the public to be able to see it with their own eyes. And instead, if you have this lack of transparency, you have these contemptible conspiracy theories that spring up, particularly now on the internet. And this is a way to combat that, to allow greater transparency for all parties involved. All right, good thoughts, Professor Turley. Jonathan, stand by. Donna and Josh, stand by too, because we want to bring in Brett Tolman. He's the former U.S. Attorney for Utah, also the Right on Crime Executive Director. Brett, good to have you with us. Good observation with the judge potentially excluding the family because they may be called as witnesses at a future point. In terms of the coverage of this trial and transparency, Erica Kirk has a couple of different reasons. One is all these conspiracy theories that are out there, and whether or not people from Turning Point USA were somehow involved. And then the other is almost kind of like an eye for an eye. Listen to what she told Jesse Walker's back in the 5th.
There were cameras all over my husband when he was murdered. There have been cameras all over my friends and family mourning. There have been cameras all over me, analyzing my every move, analyzing my every smile, my every tear. We deserve to have cameras that let everyone see what true evil is.
So she's making the point that everything about her husband's assassination was very, very public. Why should the man accused of perpetrating it be shielded from public view?
Well, she makes an incredible point. I mean, the reality is, what we're analyzing, John, is can you preserve constitutional protections, due process, and a fair trial with cameras in the courtroom? And I'm afraid that the old arguments don't really apply. The strongest argument that many have argued is, well, it turns it into a circus. You have lawyers that want to become actors and judges that perhaps the O.J. Simpson trial was something that jades that view. The reality is, though, this is something that is needed in order to achieve justice, because you do have to have the public as part of this, and that's why you open courtrooms. Jonathan Turley's absolutely right. They got contemplated opening the courtroom and for citizens walking in. They sat in the rafters and the galleys and everywhere else they sat and watched trials occur. Now we have media that can accomplish that to a greater extent, and it needs to happen in this case.
Brett, standing here in New York, we're watching this tape playback on the screen right now of the moments before we heard from the judge. Heather Robinson, 22 years old, sitting with his attorneys, and he appeared smiling and he laughed at one point. And Jonathan was making the point that oftentimes you see this, the accused criminal separating himself, being able to separate himself from the crime. I wonder if you could just further weigh in on that, as you have obviously seen courtrooms like this many times.
Yeah, and Sandra, the thing that is so easily forgotten are the victims in the case. And so you work as a prosecutor, you work as a defense attorney, and it becomes your day in, day out. And let's face it, they're seeing a more human side to Mr. Robinson.
Okay, I was looking. They said that there's an unbelievable amount of evidence. This is an overwhelming level of evidence. So they didn't reference that here. If anybody knows what that's in regards to, I'd love to know. Accused in Charlie Kirk's killing chuckles in courts during first and Pearson hearing. I don't care. And they are saying it looks very calm. Okay, well, that's it for that. There's like a ton more news that we can cover. Carolina, I saw what you sent me. Is there something else going on that you need me to call for right now, or no? I just opened.
It was, but I told him to postpone, and then the screenshot that I sent you was specifically because, like I said, that list is, they're attempting to leak that list to the people that subvert TPUSA, specifically the groypers and, you know, the crazy crowds that are trying to go and get in the rooms with these people. So I'm hoping that the hotel lobbies that are listed on those lists are pretty well aware of who these people are. So we just need to make sure that
the hotel security, not lobbies.
Right. The security of the hotel, the security of the event, everybody needs to be on the same page because, again, you know, one particular young lady that I was managing, you know, had all these horrible things, you know, being said and bad press. Has a call for disaster when you have a bunch of, you know, young people going to an event like this and they're just thrown in a hotel, you know?
These are the kids. This is the kids.
So the way that it works with TPUSA is every student gets accommodations.
Right. No, I know, but the list that we were talking about is the kids list, right? Not the adult guests that are coming.
No, the adults have to be independent with their own lodging. So yeah, that's it. But I do have the names of what you saw in the list, and then I also have the location. So we're putting parameters in place to be able to spot from the street level before they even make it to the hotel. So all the kids should be pretty safe.
Okay, good. Hey, Bree, how are you? There's an interview that James Lindsay also did, by the way, regarding Dugan. Andrea posted it. I think it's on my feed as we speak.
Do you want me to give you a summary of the Tyler Robinson trial today?
Yeah, I essentially just want to know, did they have a lot of evidence that were brought up, or?
22-year-old accused of assassinating took place 4th District Court in Provo, Utah, presided over by Judge Tony Graff. Robinson has been charged with 7 counts, including aggravated murder, a capital offense, felony discharge of firearm causing serious injury, obstruction of justice, 2 counts of witness tampering, and committing a violent offense in the presence of a child. Prosecutors have indicated they will seek the death penalty if he's convicted, citing aggravating factors such as targeting Kirk for his political views and the presence of children at the event. Robinson's appearance and demeanor, transported under heavy security, including an armed SWAT convoy and rooftop snipers mirroring the assassination circumstances. Robinson appeared in civilian clothes, light blue shirt, striped tie khaki pants, as previously allowed by the judge to preserve presumption of innocence, but wore restraints. Multiple reports described him as calm, smirking, chuckling with his attorneys, and in good spirits, which drew outrage from observers, including Kirk's family and supporters in attendance. Several UVU students who witnessed the shooting were present. The core focus was arguments over public and media access to proceedings. Robinson's defense in the Utah County Sheriff's Office pushed to ban cameras and limit records, citing risk to fair trial.
Yeah. Hold on one second. There's somebody in the space that only has a couple minutes. Put a pause on that. I'm going to get right to it. I just wanted to cover one thing. Sorry, and I do want to hear the update on that. So there was a psychological profile assessment put together about Tucker. So I think for some of those that may want to, I'm actually, for me, it's a little bit. I'm not going to say sophomoric. It's a little bit of a lesser version of the level of complexity we've gone into. But in general, for those to kind of understand the psychology of what's currently occurring with him, because I know many people are going back and forth, and what's the objective. The actual main point of what you see going on right now is that Tucker has pissed off Trump enough, both from a domestic and foreign policy situation, by causing both havoc domestically and internationally, of which we'll have to go through the extensiveness of what that looks like. It's not just Trump. There's other people in the administration. Nobody mentioned J.D. Vance, as far as I know at this point. But this is an issue, and so some somebody had created stuff as something based initially on some of the things that I had shared. And this is all mostly open source, so nobody should, feel conflicted about anything. But let me just pull this up. I just wanted to kind of go through a little bit just of the key points, just for people that are going to be doing media and to try to figure out what's going on and why this is of concern. I was going to do this in a second when I had Barbie here, but I'm just going to, sorry. Let me just see something. Just 1 second. Okay. So, this is it. Okay. So, there's an introduction to this, and well, let me just go through this real quick. Since departing Fox News in 2023, Tucker has built a new political project centered on demoralization, moral inversion, and coalition splitting on the American right. Tucker advances this project by elevating adversarial regimes, revisionist historians, identitarians and leftists, terror apologists, conspiracy theorists, anti-American dissidents, Sharia law, and feudalism, while attacking traditional conservative leaders, the Republican Party, Zionism, the military, the U.S. military, and Christian theological foundations. Through soft platforming, selective agreement, and unchallenged interviews, Tucker mainstreams narratives that recast America as corrupt, its history fraudulent, its institutions malignant, and its allies malevolent. Brick by brick, he replaces the conservative account of America as an exceptional but flawed nation with a story of civilizational decay engineered by hidden elites and, in quotes, demonic forces. This realignment is reinforced by theological framework that severs Christianity from the Old Testament, delegitimizes Christian Zionists and evangelicals, and reintroduces classic anti-Semitic tropes in modern form. The result is a worldview that fractures the Judeo-Christian moral narrative that has historically anchored the American right. Ultimately, Tucker is pursuing a divide and capture strategy that mirrors the far left's internal takeover of the Democratic Party. This is the left used IAS security tests, moral inversion, and factional pressure to reshape its coalition. Tucker is now pressuring conservative leaders, institutions, churches, and media people to choose between his new radicalized audience and the traditional coalition that once aimed the root. The following is one example. Yes, the person that sent me, yes, I was sending a picture actually of it proof you want. I'm great, but I'll send you that as well, yes. Sorry, let me just pull this out. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I walked out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaker panel.
What'd you say?
I don't see our guest in the speaker.
Yeah. She's there. She's just, yeah. I mean, if she wants to request.
Just drop out and come back in because I don't see the panel.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, she's not a
Hey,
speaker.
did you see the list that came out for TPUSA? The one that Caroline and I know that you know already, but it's a huge group of people. I am sad that Tim is not. I saw his Tim Pool's discussion on how he ended up backing out. That was disappointing all around. I think that probably a lot of hands and thoughts, but he was massive.
Clearly gets at the lifestyles. All of the dietitians and pretty much chefs, so they're actually good. And they're ready to these meals, protein shakes, and
set up for not involved at all. I'm not an activist, so it just was never on my radar. But it's definitely that it was just a lot of lines were on
God forbid you want to.
Okay. Yeah, I figured there's gonna be a lot, so I'm not. I really don't care. It's the subversive ones. Those are the only ones I worry about, you know. So, okay. So let me just go here. Okay, so. And every time you cut into something, it like loses attraction. But okay, so Tucker's demoralization playbook, delegitimizing American values and institutions. So uses moral equivalence, selective framing, positive portrayals of adversarial regimes and anti-Western ideas to erode confidence in America's moral standing and historical role by rewriting major events, especially World War II and Pearl Harbor. Tucker and his guests invert traditional moral judgments and undermine the post-World War II American story and identity, portraying American institutions, experts, and public servants as corrupt or malicious. He creates a pervasive us versus them frame to delegitimize core American institutions. Wielding religion as a wedge, Tucker applies selective theology and purity tests to fracture Christian coalitions. He detaches Christianity from its Old Testament foundations and undermines the modern biblical framework. Tucker peddles anti-Semitic tropes, portraying the Jews and Israel as a source of division in America and on the right, dividing through extremism by elevating grievance-based, identitarian, and supremacist narratives as legitimate interpretations of American life. Tucker stokes identity politics. Tucker launders extremist and adversary-aligned narratives, normalizing fringe, identitarian, or authoritarian viewpoints through soft interviews and plausible deniability, manipulating reality and forcing loyalty and mendacity. To maintain his narrative, Tucker utilizes gaslighting and contradiction, reversing prior statements, denying recorded positions, and substituting emotional claims for facts to destabilize audiences. By using targeted personal attacks, Tucker punishes dissent, enforces factional loyalty, and delegitimizes competing conservative voices. Tucker's core ideological shifts and how he advances them, delegitimizing American values and institutions. Tucker replaces the traditional conservative belief in America as a fundamentally good nation with a narrative that casts the United States as a corrupt, spiritually degraded, and inferior to its adversaries. Rewriting America's past, a central pillar of Tucker's worldview is the claim that America's history, especially World War II, is fraudulent or malicious. Churchill is cast as a warmonger. Tucker's guest, Daryl Cooper, a revisionist historian, stated that Churchill was the chief villain of World War II. He was primarily responsible for that war becoming what it did, in quotes. The Allies and the Nazis were morally equivalent. Daryl Cooper, accuses the Allies of the greatest scale of terrorist attacks you've ever seen in world history. Well, we were at war, not terrorist attacks, but I'm just saying that as a side note. America has been fed revisionist history. David Collum, a chemistry professor on the show, says, I think the story we got about World War II is all wrong. And Tucker interjects, I think that's right. Tucker has revived long debunked claims and ideals, such as Israel killed JFK and the U.S. government facilitated 9/11, which have been repeatedly shown to be false. So these are just the first less than 2 pages that I've just read. There's one other thing, defending America's adversaries. Tucker contrasts the dark retelling of American history with positive portrayals of authoritarian regimes and anti-Western actors. he highlights their supposed, where was I? Hold on 1 second. Oh, this is very detailed on the religious stuff. Give me 1 second. Okay, he highlights their supposed virtues, social conservatism, what he said about Madero, for example, in Venezuela, protection of Christians, which is what he says about Russia, which they don't, or geopolitical restraint, or even what he said about Nigeria, that the Christians were dying there, right? Or geopolitical restraint, while downplaying or ignoring their crimes, creating a moral equivalence that casts America as the destabilizing force in the world. For example, normalizing Maduro's tyranny through shared values. Tucker says in Venezuela, gay marriage is banned, abortion is banned, sex changes for transgender are banned. It's one of the very few countries with those policies. Those existed prior to Maduro, but that has nothing to do with the fact that people are starving over there and it's a authoritarian, destructive country. Downplaying Assad's heinous crimes. Tucker asks, why am I required to hate Assad? Some ophthalmologist from London is a bloodthirsty dictator? That's what Tucker said. I kid you not. Okaying death to America chants by Iran. During an interview with the president of Iran, Tucker fails to push back on claims that death to America actually means death to crimes, death to killing and carnage, death to supporting killing others, and death to insecurity and instability. He praises feudalism, for example. Tucker elevates ideas historically associated with anti-Western or theocratic systems, using them as contrast to portray America as chaotic and morally bankrupt. Feudalism. Feudalism is so much better than what we have now, because at least in feudalism, the leader is vested in the prosperity of the people he rules. The Taliban. Tucker claims that the Taliban's cruel method of treating drug use is morally superior than America's approach. The Taliban have a faith-based, nonsense, intoxicant policy in their rehab, and it works, and ours doesn't, in quotes. Sharia law. Tucker sarcastically criticizes Sharia law, implying that it's a good system, saying Sharia law is bad, it's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit, it's just bad.
Fuck, it's fucking rich. You got the keys. Give her the keys. Tell him. Tell him he found a book called The King of Keys by Rebbe Hashem.
Someone's gonna kill me. She says none of those messages exist. What the hell is she doing with his cell phone? Doing with his cell phone?
Just think of people in here, you gonna get some genetics.
That's good. You do. You don't know shit.
Who's Victoria?
Yeah, but like, damn, bro, that's what made it irritating when I was trying to get the information.
Victoria, nigga.
Yeah,
That's Liquid's new name, Victoria.
yeah, bro.
I said I didn't want to happen. You forced me.
Could it be that's why they could it be that's why they fight with you? Could it be because like even the ones who are on your side find it to be insanely difficult to communicate with you?
Yeah.
I
don't have any issue communicating with her.
Thank you.
Buttercup, you know who Alexander Solzhenitsyn is?
Oh my God.
Yes, no?
He is annoying.
She's not lesbian. Yeah, he's annoying because he's trying to talk about the
He
same
doesn't shut the fuck up. He talks so much and he's so long-winded. He doesn't land a point. He goes on and on and on, and his fixation is demonizing.
But he can't land the point because it'll never land because they're not even
It
listening.
takes so long. I've had many conversations with him. I literally can't have another one.
But you were just doing that about the Trotsky house, even though no one mentioned the Trotsky house.
Well, you were mentioning the Bolsheviks, and Trotsky is a Bolshevik. He's sort of
What was it?
So I was trying to change the topic to like art and culture, which is way more interesting than why the Jews are the root of all evil.
Okay, do you like, what type of music do you like?
I would say
Do you like Kanye?
no. You're too real.
He has a nice song. It's called.
Nobody thinks the Jews are the root of all evil.
Do you know Nigga Halle?
Eric does, and Robin do.
I don't think the Jews, bro. I don't think all Jews are the same. But I do play this. And look, I'm not gonna. One thing. This is it. I believe men are men and women are women.
Hang on, I'm taking notes. What was that?
If you want to call a man a woman, that's your choice. Don't force me to say it. I don't believe it. I won't say it. And therefore,
The Jews don't have a gun to your head saying
I'm trying to
say it.
explain to you my perspective.
Would you call me mommy?
I do see an issue. I see it, that there is per capita more of these issues among the Jews. And you're asking me to deny that. But I believe it. I see it.
Who's holding a gun to your head? Nobody. Fuck off. Like, no one's holding a gun to your head.
Okay, but you're
All women. I don't care.
You're trying to make it seem like I think all the Jews are the source of all
The
issues.
Jews mind their own business. They don't legislate. They're not the fucking Christians that try to legislate their beliefs. And they live and let live. That's the difference between Jews and Christians. Christians try to impose. They're like fucking.
Nigga, you can't legislate beliefs. You have none. You have no beliefs.
But they do legislate.
Jews have beliefs.
No, you don't have beliefs.
Well, then why do you care so much about our non-beliefs?
What are your beliefs?
Why do you care so much about? Why are you overbearing about whether or not we have beliefs?
Tell me what because you don't have.
You're the overbearing ones because you're the ones with the whacked out back ass.
Yeah, you just don't have a normative authority. You just don't have that. You don't have a normative binding authority.
You're angry at us for not having beliefs. You're angry at us for having beliefs. You're like enough.
Yeah, again, you're fighting with.
The absence of belief shouldn't be offensive to you. It shouldn't be offensive. The absence.
Yeah, you're fighting with yourself.
No, you're the absence of belief shouldn't be provocative.
But you're fighting with yourself. I think listening should be more important because without it, there's no comprehension.
Rabbi put his neck on the line for Epstein. I don't think a man who hates Jews would ever do.
I did put my neck on the line for Epstein. That is true. Now you.
Because you guys have a similar lifestyle. You
suck at listening and therefore comprehension. But there can be no conversation.
Wow.
You and Epstein have a similar lifestyle. So
yes, doing nothing wrong is a similar lifestyle.
Yeah. That we have in common. Okay. So, do you understand, Boo Boo, why it's infuriating to talk to you?
No.
I'm just sick of this conversation. Everywhere I go, I get cornered by you fucking retards.
No, everywhere you go, you corner yourself because you don't listen to what people say, and you turn it about you being a victim and you being attacked. When no one's attacking you, we're just trying to have a convo.
Everywhere you go, everywhere you go. Buttercup, what did I just say?
Everywhere you go?
No, that was somebody else.
What did you say?
I said 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to help you. you must be high or something.
I've considered that.
I wish I was high.
Our dealer, Bobadilla. Anyway, the next time you get high, you should listen to Tchaikovsky or A Little Nut Music. My Mozart.
Who did Peter and the Wolf?
Peter and the Wolf. I don't know. Who did Benny and the Jets?
Benny and the Jets.
What are you talking about? What is that?
Oh,
I don't know what that is. Oh, child. Look, man. You can keep wasting your time. As far as I'm concerned.
Christians are the only religion that tries to legislate their beliefs. People.
Christians are the people who have beliefs worth legislating.
That is true. That is true.
That's number one. Number two, Christians are the only place who allow you, with all your degeneracies, to exist in this society. Number three, Christians are the only people who accept you without judging you, hurting you. They're the only people who give you equal rights. The only reason...
They're not judging you.
The only reason why you're not like what do you call them? Cuffs are not the sexual ones that you like. The actual cuffs, like working in fucking landmines like a nigger. The only reason why you're not like that is because of Christian football. I just hope you understand.
That's true.
Oh.
No, it's because of the union.
Thank you. Thank you for rescuing humanity.
Well,
he works for a union.
It's
part of a union.
Shit. Imagine legislating Sanhedrin 64B.
Abuela, is that your real foot?
Where's Mama Jazzy?
Is it my foot? Yeah.
You put like a decent looking foot.
Thank you very much. I don't even wear socks in my shoes.
You should start an OnlyFans. An OnlyFeet.
Okay. You hear that, boys?
But if we're truly to succeed in this mission, one of the biggest barriers is, of course, skill.
Buttercup says she'll flick her bean to my feet.
Yeah.
About AI, tech, and drugs.
I think she would, although I think she talks the talk, but she doesn't really walk it.
I can move my big toe really quickly.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
Can we rotate and vibrate?
LOL. What do they call the?
Well, are you 100% gay?
You know how the prisoners the prisoners
Checking.
drag like a big ball of like a cannonball, right? What do they call that?
What?
There's like I don't know if it's not a cannonball, but it's like a big cannonball that's tied to the prisoners.
Oh yeah, it's a ball. It's like a I know what you're talking about.
Ball and mace.
I don't think they
Ball and chain.
Yeah, exactly. So Boo Boo, the only reason is you're not dragging that Boo Boo is because you're gonna be dragging these nuts. That's why. That's exactly why.
Oh, did you guys hear? John the Baptist and Winnie the Pooh have the same middle name.
John the Baptist and Winnie the Pooh have the same middle name?
Yes.
That's very funny.
How does that even make sense? Oh, child.
Dumbass.
Oh, dumb. Yeah. They do have the same middle name. Well, that's not a middle name, that's a title, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, Buttercup, all I'm trying to say is some chains unchain you, and once you gather enough wisdom to comprehend that, you will come to terms with the truth.
What will unchain me from your ball sack?
Well, no. In this example, these nuts unchained.
Where do I get the key? I need to find it. I need to get. It's like starting to become a burden.
What kind of chain unchains you? The key. These nuts. Unconnect you with all these falsities.
I don't see how that works.
You don't see it because you didn't try it.
Okay, let me.
Let's give it a shot. That's what it is. Oh, bro. You guys, you're retarded. You're so annoying, Buttercup.
You're annoying, Rabbi.
If I go to New York, I'm gonna elbow your face.
Okay.
Children in Summerstown.
That's hot. I'm just kidding. Why elbow my face?
For a foot job.
I think elbowing is funny.
Okay. It
As
sounds
a trend.
painful.
Yeah, people say I'm gonna punch you. They never say I'm gonna elbow you.
Yeah.
Look at the technology.
Oh, my head hurts me so much. Fucking hell.
This could belong to me, and so this work we're doing with
I'm gonna knock your knees out from under you.
so important. They've got a they've got a future. You can't aspire to do something unless you can see it and feel it and understand what it is. In this country, the technology needs to be built in that way. And whilst I'm on Summerstown, I do just want to give a short example of that and praise for investing in Summerstown, because I've thrown this challenge out to them many, many times.
Waste of time, this guy.
Children in the poorest part of my constituency aspire to work in your sector.
Oh, child. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Conspiracies around Erica Kirk.
Oh, no.
A grieving.
Yeah, apparently there's more on her.
Now put herself in the
She
spotlight.
killed her husband.
Now they're making the rounds. So I think that
She's the tranny lover.
to address some of the various.
I don't know what she is and what she isn't. I just know that she's. No, I do know what she is. She's pretty off.
True. Some of them might be debunked, and we're going to go through a few of them. But first, let's just go ahead and take a look at some of the media rounds that she's been doing. Most notably, she sat down.
Do you know Kim Iverson? She's actually pretty good.
Okay, sometimes she looks like a retard. I mean, sounds like a retard.
Sometimes.
She asks questions that sound stupid, or like she's not listening to the person. Because she'll ask something that has already been said
Which one is Candace?
by the person, so she gets her guests to repeat themselves.
Okay. So she sits down with Bart. Now, a lot of people are suspecting some of the conspiracies around Erica Kirk have been that she's major Zionist.
Well, yes, I do like Kim Iverson.
That her parents are major Zionists. That her parents, her dad in particular, worked for.
She even said Shabbos. Happy Shabbos on Friday, and like when they throw their phone, so they're hardcore Judaizers.
Yeah, that was helping design the Iron Dome. That her parents are major Zionists. That Trump, she was Miss Arizona 2012, and that was when it was Trump's organization at the time. The Miss Universe organization was owned by him. And the thinking, so she's known Trump for a long time. She didn't meet Charlie Kirk until 2019, and there's a thinking that Trump and his team actually set her up with Charlie Kirk, that Trump was the one who facilitated the interview.
What if Donald Trump is like Charlie and Charlie's Angels? And Miss Universe is just like a front for these female spies.
Started dating instead, and then they ended up married. And the theory is that Trump actually set them up. And that this is, the overall assumption. And then there's also a conspiracy theory that we're going to get into about her organization, a charitable organization.
That's right.
To a Romanian children's charity that people say is linked to child trafficking. We're going to talk about that. But the premise of a lot of these conspiracies is that Erica Kirk is basically a giant Zionist and that she's doing the bidding of Israel. And it is odd that after Charlie gets killed, and a lot of people are suspicious that the reason he was killed was because he suddenly was turning on Israel, that they tried to stage an intervention, that he was, and then even 3 days before he was killed, he still said, I'm giving up on I'm giving up on Israel, basically. I'm turning my back on them. So the conspiracy is that Erica is deeply Zionist, that she's deeply entrenched with the Israelis, or that she's blackmailed or controlled by them. So it's one or the other. It's either she's got the motivation herself, or it's that somebody behind the scenes is influencing, blackmailing, manipulating her against her will. So it's either with her will or against her will. But nonetheless, the theory is that it's happening.
They literally had him by the balls.
CEO of TPUSA, and she's now making the media rounds, and that she's saying and doing all these things that are indicating her love for Israel, and that she is going to be making sure that TPUSA stays in the lane of pro-Israel. It's the most influential political organization for young people, and it needs to stay pro-Israel, and that's what the Israeli Zionist lobby is afraid of. That Charlie Kirk was going to take it in a different direction. Much of the TPUSA youth are already in that other direction. Whenever they hold an event, you got a lot of people standing up.
She's saying all the right things, all the big things.
Except government, and a lot of those kids that are at those college campuses don't like any of it. So the left to TPUSA turning that ship around, I don't think they can. But nonetheless, they seem to be trying. And it seems, whatever the motivation be, whether it be by choice or by force, it seems that Erica Kirk is trying to steer TPUSA still in the Zionist pro-Israel lane. Now, then others argue that Charlie Kirk is dead, so we cannot ask him. They'll say, no, Charlie wasn't turning on Israel. He was still deeply pro-Israel. He was still very much in the cause of Israel. We saw Netanyahu
Brought to you by Peter Thiel.
say multiple times after Charlie was killed the same day how much of a friend Charlie was to Israel, and he was a great ally and a great friend. And, we've seen this narrative be spun at us, which is that, no, Charlie was definitely not turning on the Israel cause. He was super deeply pro-Israel. And so Erica is starting to make these rounds. And I got to say, these media rounds that she's making are not helping with the conspiracies against her. Whatever the motivation be, whether there be a conspiracy against her or not, whether she's controlled or she's doing it on her own, her appearances are not helping. First of all, to sit down with Bari Weiss, the head Zionist of all Zionists, who was just installed at CBS News by the Ellison family, and she's been accused of being a Mossad agent. Then she sat there and did that stupid interview where she's like, "Oh, so you're Mossad? So what's Mossad? I get accused of being Mossad, but what's Mossad?" Like, this head journalist of CBS doesn't even know what Mossad is. That's how stupid Bari Weiss seems sometimes. She's made a lot of dumb statements. I don't think Bari Weiss is stupid, but I do think she's made some really eyebrow-raising comments. But nonetheless, Erica sits down with Bari Weiss. That's alarming in and of itself. I think anybody who sits down with Bari Weiss, you got to think they're probably pro-Zionist, because Bari wouldn't platform you unless you were. So here's a clip from her interview with Bari Weiss talking about Candace Owens.
Podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she's making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
What a great neutral question.
That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
The way she says it also, stop. She looks at her like, we're going to kill you too. Oh, child. If I can kill my husband, I can kill you too, bitch.
Who does this lady's makeup anyway? Looks like a ghost.
You don't need.
Oh, really? I like her makeup, but I like girls with makeup.
Those mascara, like she's crying all the time.
That's right. I'll take her to a club like that.
The man accused of killing her husband. Maybe
Pretty weird for a widow, right?
She knows he didn't do it. Something to think about. Okay. In the next interview, so there she is sitting with Bari Weiss addressing Candace Owens saying, "Yes, stop investigating the Egyptian planes and the Israeli connections or whatever this might be. You just stop that." Okay. In this next interview, Erica strangely says, now she's supposedly a deeply Christian woman, and she says Shabbat Shalom. She says this, by the way, that is not a phrase Christians use.
Spooky.
But
We all use it.
not saying it.
Third time I said it even more than the Jews for a couple of weeks. And they kicked me out.
His bags. Daddy's home. Take his phone Friday night, Shabbat Shalom, threw it in a junk drawer, and it was just. And that's what I always wanted to meet. So
That's definitely not Christian.
I'd always say, baby, I don't care what time you get home. Your food will never be cold. It might sit out for a little bit, but I'll reheat it. It's fine.
Shabbat Shalom throws his phone. I love Tyler That's it.
Wait, did that lady really say Shabbat Shalom? Why?
Because
Kirk?
Throw the phone away.
yeah,
Because she's employed by the Jewish. She's a Shabbos goy.
She's trying to like plant conspiracy theories.
Get mad. It's so easy.
what?
Do it.
Listen.
Okay, super weird to just throw in that Shabbat Shalom in there. I mean, did Charlie Kirk
It's
really
edited.
put his cell phone in a drawer and say to
Just
his
don't check the original tape.
It's there. I see it.
And why? I mean, if you are doing, I mean, that just goes to show how deeply surrounded you must be. I mean, even if maybe he did say that every time on Friday, and you'd be like Shabbat Shalom to people on Fridays, even though he's totally a Christian. That just shows he was like so deeply surrounded by people of the Jewish faith. And then, Zionists. I mean, you just sit there and think, so was he just totally surrounded and he didn't have very many Christian friends? And so it just kind of became habit to say it? Or did she just drop that in there to like signal that, yes, I'm still, I mean, obviously Shabbat Shalom, there's plenty of Jews who say this who are absolutely anti-Zionist and hate Israel and don't want to have anything to do with the country. But nonetheless, it is a strange thing to be saying suddenly in an interview, and it's like you're signaling to the Zionist crowd, like, I'm still here and I'm still with you. She then talks a little bit more in a different interview, and these are all interviews she's been doing over the last week. She's just been making the media rounds. She's promoting her husband's book, and the book is about him honoring the Sabbath, which he did on Saturdays. Another strange thing. That's the Jewish day. The Muslims do it on Friday, the Jews do it on Saturday, and the Christians do it on Sunday. It's very strange that Charlie Kirk would celebrate it on Saturday. It's just all things that just are really odd. But she talks about how they honored the Sabbath.
Apparently, you guys used to actually burn the phones out these for a day.
Yes, Charlie he would honor the Sabbath, and that's his last book he wrote, Stop in the Name of God. It's all about honoring the Sabbath. And he had to trick it. It did not happen overnight. This is something that he leaned into. And on Friday night, when he would get home from work, he would turn off his phone and he would shove it in the junk drawer and he would say Shabbat Shalom, shove it in the drawer, and he was full dad mode, fully with the kids, sports mode on Saturdays for college football, and he couldn't breathe. He had this sacred moment to just breathe and to rest and get away from the chatter, get away from the world, and just have a moment to understand that life.
This is damage control from the anti-Semitic allegations.
Buttercup, do you do the same thing on Shabbos?
No, I'm not observant, but my parents are, and it's actually really nice. The Shabbat.
She goes to swimmer clubs on Shabbos.
Now Buttercup really does sound like hell.
She's like Frankists. You know the Frankists?
She also...
Or unless she uses VPN to navigate around Shabbat laws and has like an Australian VPN.
Shabbat is really nice. Like if you have like a dinner party on Friday, and then you turn off your phone. It's good to turn off social media. I don't know.
Been productive day.
I wish I did it.
And I remember looking behind me.
But I think she's just doing damage control because he's an anti-Semite.
I'll tell you who doesn't do it.
Who?
Jeff, the Jew on Clubhouse.
And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi.
And I called him out.
Who's Jeff the Jew? I don't do it either.
He's a Jewish guy named Jeff.
Off like a crazy.
Oh, I mean, I think most.
I love Jeff.
That ended up being Charlie.
Oh, I know Jeff, the guy with the wife beater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell him I said Shabbat Shalom.
He hates me. Just like Jay hates me for no reason. They just decided every time they see me, they curse me.
Yeah, because
J-Wow hates you?
What? Yeah, J-Lo hates me.
Mama J, I love her.
Yeah, we all
I don't know why she hates me.
I told you a million times why, and you refuse to listen.
No, I know why. You're right. That is why. She's got a bad. Because I'm a capo. I'm mean to Israel.
That's not why.
You're impossible to talk to, that's why.
It is, you are impossible to talk to.
Oh, well, you were on my side like an hour ago.
No, I'm just playing.
With them. I don't know. I know she met him with Charlie. She might have even met
I won't accept their Jesus Christ is my savior, so I'm impossible to talk to.
Put out there, and he says, I have
J-Lo's
Charlie.
okay.
Jerusalem when they
But Jesus Christ, who said Jesus Christ is your savior?
So,
Like,
yeah.
unless I accept your like weird, hateful branch of Christianity, you say I'm impossible to talk to.
I don't know of any other Christianity that doesn't have Jesus.
Like, well, their rabbi and bishop, their Christianity is like especially hateful.
They have two different kinds of Christianity.
I know, but those are two strains of it that are really hateful. All the fundamentalist Christians are hateful as fuck.
Yeah, we're very hateful.
Tell Jeff the Jew, the evangelical rabbi says Shabbat Shalom.
The rabbi, check your message.
And in Charlie Kirk's information. A lot of people aren't saying that Michael was involved in some way. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. But what we do know is that the official story we've been fed, it's full of holes. People are not buying it. We're trying to,
I see it. It's so funny.
Number of cell phones.
It's so funny.
To foreigners, disproportionately Israeli. Then you got these Egyptian planes and.
Who's the narrator? Who's the show? What show are you watching?
Like maybe they made stops in Israel and went on. And they had some kind of moments where they disappeared on the tracker and stuff. So there's all these really strange things. And then there's this kind of doubling, tripling, quadrupling down of like, oh, Shabbat Shalom. We love Israel. We're still, and kind of stop. Just stop. Very, very strange. Okay. So that's why there are a lot more conspiracies around Erica Cook. People that are saying, let's look more into her. And I think a lot of us have been like, let's give the grieving widow a moment. But she's now putting herself out there doing a lot of different media rounds. And so I think it's fair now to maybe take a look at some of the conspiracies. So let's start off with her parents. The claim is, have you ever looked into her dad? Carl Kenneth Bransby. I don't know if I'm saying her maiden name right. But her father worked.
The updates to the website is amazing. I love the DEI hires.
Really?
Yeah.
Shows progression.
Yeah, the AI is no longer working though. We just need to let it work.
He does work in the defense sector.
Every time I update the website, it shuts down the AI, so we have to fix it.
I love how it glows. The DEI.
Go check the contributions page.
I'll check that out.
Or any of that. He's now dead, by the way. But there's no link of him and this claim that he was the head of
I love it. Montani.
Where are the DEI hires?
And so it doesn't look like his internet. I think
you should be on the website. I'm surprised it isn't.
Cultural enrichment, kosher sex. Oh my goodness.
I know I should be on the website.
Oh my goodness, they put Danny on there.
Danny is on this thing and I'm not? My goodness.
Mom, actually, kind of a defense contract. I mean, she's very.
We could probably get F-Tolls to sell feet pictures on the website.
She's actually in the government. Different companies, all of the defense sector, and there's some really strange activity with her mother's companies that I think could be eyebrow raising, and certainly, at minimum, show that look, any company that has security or defense contracts or ties probably has a lot of ties to Israel, to Israeli tech, Israeli Israeli contracts. Probably wouldn't want to piss them off. If you're in the defense and surveillance sector, you're heavily tied in with the Israelis. So you don't want to upset anybody. You don't want to lose your funding. Now, this is Erica talking. This is back in 2020. And she's talking about her mother, even why they moved to Arizona, why her mother moved to Arizona. And that was because she was going to be working for the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security.
Can I ask a question? Off topic. How did your mom choose Phoenix?
So she chose to move to Phoenix from Ohio because there was more of an opportunity for a female business owner out here. especially from the standpoint of she was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense. And so she had other business partners that were out here that were already in that industry, even one that was a mentor of hers. So it was really convenient to be able to come all together in one place to really have that. But my father ended up moving out here as well because my grandparents had a home out in Sun City. And so it took a little bit to get everyone out here. It took several years, but by that time, everyone was out here. So we had a little bit more family than just us.
Okay, so we know now her mother did work in the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security. That was confirmed by Erica. But also look at her LinkedIn. This is Lori Fransby, and she is the chairman and founder of AZ Tech, of G Tech, of E3 Tech, master's degree at University of Cincinnati. So she at least has these three heavily tech companies that are heavily involved in defense sector contracts. Not only that, but she also is on the board for another company called Superfeed, which is interesting. But before we go to Superfeed and what's kind of strange about that one, these companies that she has, they're all very much tied to defense contracts. Her own security company, the website says Joint Service Achievement Medal for classified operations during Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Okay, so she's clearly heavily in the defense sector, got a lot of contracts with the defense sector. The company that they said that Erica's dad had founded was ATech, or AZ Tech, sorry. And no, he actually just worked for Erica's mom. So he was actually a subordinate to Erica's mom. At least that's the research. That's what it came back at. It's a little bit confusing because I know that they did divorce at one point, but I don't know if he still worked for her mother's company after they had a divorce, or did he work for the company? And then when they got divorced, he stopped working there. Yeah, I'm not really sure, guys, but from the records of what we could find, the dad also worked for AZ Tech, but he was not the founder and CEO of AZ Tech. He was instead in a lower position than her mother. Her mother's the founder and at one point CEO. So here's another thing that was a little bit strange. So Superfeed is it's a company that's often heavily connected to TPUSA. A lot of people kind of view it as one of the same as TPUSA, but it's not. It's actually a separate company. And Superfeed basically is a company that gives campaign campaign apps to candidates, and they kind of white label it. So a candidate that TPUSA maybe is backing, they would say, we got an app you can use, and you can put their whole campaign on this app, and it makes it great for campaigning and yada yada. And then the candidate then gets this app, gets the technology for the app, and then puts their own logos and puts their own messaging on it and whatnot. So it just kind of looks like it's individual for each candidate, but it's run on the same test. And Erica's mother is on the board for Superfeed. Well, Superfeed was involved in this really strange scandal, and we don't really know what exactly happened, but Carrie Lake there was a bribery scandal involved with Superfeed and Carrie Lake, and apparently they basically had tried to bribe her to stay out of the race, out of the Senate race. They wanted her to not run. We don't have any clue as to who they wanted to run instead, but there was somebody else that they wanted, and they were basically trying to bribe her to not be involved. They were bribing, I'm not sure if they were bribing her directly or if they were bribing somebody else, but it was basically the premise of it was they didn't want Carrie Lake to run, and they said, you know what, just wait your turn, is kind of where we heard that before. It's not your turn, somebody else's turn right now. And so they wanted her to step aside and let this other person run. And Carrie Lake ended up exposing the whole thing. She recorded a conversation, and she ended up exposing it. And the guy that was involved had to ultimately step down from Superfeed. Now, Eric Kirk's mother never made a statement about this. There's nothing on record about her saying anything. But it just goes to show, I think, with the mother being on the board of this company, with these donors being very large and involved in Superfeed to the point where they can actually tell certain candidates like Carrie Lake step aside, it just goes to show how powerful and how politically influential a company like Superfeed is. And the fact that Eric Kirk's mother sits on the board of this company, and the fact that she then has several defense contract companies, and the fact that they are, received medals for classified operations during Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom, goes to show that her mother is quite prominent and at the top echelons of the defense sector and political sector, and where they intersect. And I think it's an intriguing question to ask, which is, okay, if you are at the top levels of politics, which we know is all the Republicans are bought off by AIPAC, for example, and if you are also at the top of defense, if you are dealing with lots of defense contracts and have many defense companies, then I think it's a fair question about what do you think about Israel and why? Is it because you have deep-held religious beliefs and you're just a Christian Zionist because of your beliefs? Or is it because you've got a lot of money in the game? Or is it because you're heavily invested? Like, what exactly is it? But I think it's fair to say that, there could be, if your own mother is saying, look, we're pro-Israel because, look, honey, we got all these defense contracts and we do all these things to help keep Israel safe. And maybe it's coming from a place of, I'm just a major Christian Zionist and one day Jesus is going to come back and then, we got to get all the Jews to Jerusalem in order for that to happen because I'm a dispensationalist, right? Like, maybe it's coming from that, sure. Or maybe it's coming from a completely different motivation. And it doesn't really matter what the motivation is it kind of points towards this, but, the contracts, the alignment, the affiliations, all this point towards being heavily Zionist because a lot of people in the defense sector are. And if that's the case, then is Erica heavily Zionist? One would think. She was raised by her mother, but of course you don't always have the same views as your parents. But then, we don't know what was going on behind closed doors, and Erica Kirk has made it very public and often, and she's right to do this, to say, I think she's personally right on this point, that whatever squabbles you have between you and your spouse, you should keep it to yourself. Like, you shouldn't make that public. You shouldn't go talking to your friends about it. Because the minute you do, your friends start judging, everybody starts judging, and then your spouse can't overcome it. Your private conversations become, kind of a mess for your friends and family members, and everybody gets judgmental. Everybody's protective of the one that they're related to or that they're friends with. And so Erica said several times when she was on Charlie Kirk's show that, she believed in keeping their squabbles private. Did they squabble about Israel? Were they not on the same page? Was Charlie starting to change his mind? Was he starting to say, look, I don't know if I can support this anymore? And even then, Erica said that it was an evolution. And she didn't know him if she met him in 2019, they married in 2021, and he just died this year. So they didn't know each other for that long, really. I mean, relatively, it's not that long. And she said it was an evolution. So while she had known him in that short period of time, just think, since the beginning of the pandemic, really is what we're talking about. Since the beginning of the pandemic till now, Charlie Kirk had changed and it started saying things like Shabbat Shalom. Like, this isn't something that was ingrained in him by his parents when he was younger. This wasn't a belief system that he had for a long time. She said it was an evolution that got him to that point where he was celebrating the Sabbath on Saturday and saying Shabbat Shalom to people while she knew him. It's kind of weird. It's just, I think it's worth questioning, like, what exactly was their dynamic? What was her thinking about Israel? What was that all about? Were they on the same page? I think is the big question. And not that I'm accusing her of, anything nefarious against her husband. I'm not. But at the same time, I'm also not, because I also think that spouses should always be the first suspect, because they usually are. So I think it's fair. It's not like I'm being, stepping out of line by saying, well, somebody was killed. The first person you should look at is the spouse. Now, I get it. This was a very, she was not the person who took the shot that killed him, right? Obviously. But, spouses have hired hitmen. That's not out of the realm of, we hear about this. So hire people to kill their spouses. I don't think spouses are, I don't think it's out of line to suspect a spouse. In fact, I think that's what they usually do. But right now, because it's such a high-profile assassination, people don't even want to look at this. They're, oh, no, we can't. That's just so awful. It's a really bad person if you even look at the spouse. I don't think so. I think it's fair game. You have to. It's an investigation. Somebody's dead. And so you have to investigate. That